Hi, my name is Loren Soderberg. I professionally go by Loren Soderberg because my first name is Edward, but I've always been called by my middle name Loren. It's been a confusion to the bank and the army and so forth throughout my life. But at any rate, speaking of my life, basically without any art courses at all, I started photography as a hobby. In Vietnam, I bought an old Pentax, or at that time a new Pentax Spotmatic camera, and began photographing my travels after the Army. And after buying some art from a local famous artist here, he encouraged me to start doing something with my photography. My background has been biological science and an MBA in marketing, but at that point in time I thought my heart said to do some photography, and my head said, don't sell that house in Mill Valley. I ended up selling the house in Mill Valley in 1985 and began my career in photography. So I'd like to say a couple of things about the technique that I use. I use film only. We are now having to all print digitally because they no longer make the papers and the chemicals for traditional reversal printing, which I used for years. And I'm getting better color with film than with digital. And I'm sure they'll be making advances and they'll be getting closer to what I consider true color. The digital is kind of like an ice cream palette in my view, not quite as contrasty or true in color to nature. But I'm very pleased with the digital printing because they can now achieve closer to what the slide looks like. Any photographer who works with transparencies knows how beautiful those slides look with the light coming through. But translating to traditional color photography, that's always kind of a disappointment. But the digital printing I'm very pleased with, so it's getting to be closer to what we get on film. I'd like to start maybe with showing you some of my photographs that have sold well throughout the years. I've been fascinated with sculpture all my life, and this Southwest is truly a magnet for me with the color and the forms of nature there. And this is the spot in Antelope Canyon, the lower Antelope Canyon, where 11 people actually lost their life about 10 years ago to a flash flood. But this is remarkable to me, and I think fascinating for a lot of folks. And if we can move over to Yosemite, which of course is a very popular venue for tourists around the world, of course, and for photographers especially. And this Half Dome shot is pretty iconic image. That was in 1995, where the Merced was backed up into a meadow, and that last light is captured by Half Dome, and it was reflecting in that light, which is a very unusual situation with the meadow in bloom in June of '95 with the water already there. So that's an iconic image as far as I'm concerned, and sells very well for me. One of the things that I really enjoy about art is sculpture. That's one of the reasons that I'm attracted to the Southwest, is because of the sculptural forms that are formed through water and wind erosion. And nature provides incredible abstracts, which I really enjoy trying to capture. This image is actually a thin slice of agate that I backlit and used a macro lens. I'm only that far away from the image, and it's only maybe this big in real life. But to capture that as an abstract in nature, and the color and the form and the transparency is attractive to me and hopefully to others. And I've tried to In fact, I have quite a mineral collection myself and enjoy that very much. I've tried to translate that to two-dimensional photography, and the way that I've tried to do that is to take one image that has like a faraway focal point and reproduce that same image, cut holes within the image, smaller and smaller and smaller, carefully align them together, and so that you get that step into effect and get a dimensional effect from the photography. I call it dimensional photography for the lack of anything better. But at any rate, this particular image this year was this is a shot underneath the pier in Sausalito, and it was just made for this idea. I've done it before with other under the bridge shots type thing. Anyway, it won first place in photography, which I was very happy about in the Marin County Fair, the Fine Arts section, which has got quite a good reputation. And you've seen it before in the piece there with what I call a Cathedral of Light in a fruit tree grove in Southern California, with that again, that focal point at the far end of the row of trees, and with 5 levels of dimensional effect. I'm getting work done for the Sausalito Art Festival, which happens in about 10 days or so. I wanted to show you a little bit of what I'll be showing there, some mirror images. This is what I call oyster racks on Tamales Bay, and on a very low tide, these racks were made visible, which I hadn't seen in all the years of driving around until this year, actually. And the algae bloomed particularly bright that day, and I thought I'd just like the abstract element of it, and so I'll just show you images that I'm going to stack one on top of each other in a booth. But I wanted to show you what I do with my framing. Incidentally, I cut my mats here in the studio myself and cut the glass in the metal frames I have chopped for me. The wooden frames, the deluxe frames that you see, are done professionally. But in order to make it more dimensional, I put a spacer in between the mats and the image itself, which I think adds an element of interest to the piece. After that piece on top, I'll follow up with an image of Pfeiffer Beach. I call this Fire in the Hole. The sun is blasting through that rock. It looks almost like a laser shot is burned through that Pfeiffer Beach rock. And then the bottom image, which I think works kind of interestingly with the color and the forms, is a shot that I took 2 decades ago actually, out at Point Reyes. It's called the Great Beach at Point Reyes. But I think the colors and stacked on top of one another is a good idea, I hope. I wanted to let you folks know about a possibility for home decoration or corporate decoration. A week from today, actually, there's a corporation in San Francisco who's installing 11 of my images in corporate conference rooms. And the concept they used was to take the image and to mount it onto Centra, which is like a plastic type hard surface, very smooth, and mount it flush on that, cut it flush to the image, no frame, just the image alone. It will be laminated with a UV layer and a satin finish, and that will be floated off the wall about that much. So on these conference walls you have large images just floating, which is a very modern, sleek look, and I'm excited about that job. The images will be up to 72 inches long by 48 inches wide, which is held up remarkably well with this digital revolution again. We can do jobs like that. And I hope you've seen in looking through the studio here, the gallery, that I like to do groupings of 3 of a particular scene, and I think it adds more interest. I think the 3 or the 5, the odd number, I like that feel of getting different views of the same subject matter. I also do that in a horizontal fashion of any size. This happens to be a beach scene in Oregon, sunset scene, and another example of I spent hours catching the waves smashing against the rocks. Also happened to be on the southern Oregon coast last year, and again, I think it's great fun for me, and I hope for the folks who look at my work, to see 3 different views of the same general area. I yesterday set up a show in Mill Valley, which fortunately today's San Francisco Chronicle advertised and put a picture in the paper promoting the show, and they used this image right here, which is one that I took this year of out toward Point Reyes. Fantastic, I call it Hall of Giants, you know, this dirt road with all these wonderful big cypress trees and Douglas fir. But I wanted to tell you folks about a great alternative that I love for your photographic images, and that's a giclée print. G-I-C-L-E-E. It's like it's a French word meaning to spit, I think literally, but to spray on. And it's a computer program whereby they take the digitized image and they spray on ink on watercolor paper. And especially with a foggy image like this, the texture of the paper, it enhances, I think, the feel of the mood. And I really love giclée prints. And you can order those, of course. And I tear the paper to give it a decal edge, and then I float it off the background. And again, that's an alternative to any image that you see in my galleries or any images that you see. You can order it as a giclée print also. I just want to tell you folks that you can order any of the photographic frame pieces or prints that we've looked at through Montaggio website, and look for upcoming promotional videos at Montaggio. I'd also like to welcome all of you folks to my studio and gallery. Love to have you come by. I've got 17 print portfolios like this to look through, and a lot of imagery that you can make selections from, and would love to have you come by. Thank you very much. And I also want to invite you to my website, which is www.lorensodarberg.com. Thanks so much.